When looking at certain countries with a federal structure, such as the United States or Switzerland, a question arises: why doesn't Russia, being a federation, have the same broad rights and freedoms for its regions? And is it correct to call Russia a federation, or does it still have characteristics of a unitary state? In this video we'll discuss these issues. One of the most pressing issues is related to financing and the distribution of funds. The majority of taxes are collected in the regions, sent to the central government and then redistributed to local areas. The problem of centralization of funds is primarily associated with the inefficiency of their distribution and the detachment of the federal government from the problems of each region. Funds at the local level are typically allocated more effectively and appropriately based on the interests of the region. Moreover, centralization of funds leads to even greater corruption and embezzlement, as money passes through more hands in such a system. In the United States, the majority of tax revenue remains in the states, and taxes themselves can vary greatly from state to state. For example, some states may not have certain types of taxes, such as a sale tax, which is analogous to our VAT and is absent in Oregon and Montana. The powers of local authorities in many regions are also extremely limited and resemble those of unitary states. This is again related to financing problems, as the centralization of money and the dependence of local authorities on federal budgets force them to adapt to the central and implement only programs created at the federal level. Essentially, regional authorities act as contractors rather than full-fledged managers. Furthermore, there are numerous restrictions on the candidacy for the positions of regional leaders, such as the municipal filter, which effectively allows only candidates favored by the central government to participate in elections. In some regions, elections are completely absent, and the heads of regions are appointed either by the local parliaments or by the federal government. In 2018, direct mayoral elections in the city of Yekaterinburg in the Urals were cancelled, and the mayor will be elected not by the residents, but by the city Duma deputies. Russia is a multinational country. However, unlike some federations, the prerogative is given to the Russian language. For example, in federations such as the United States or Switzerland, there is no concept of an official state language. In Russia, the state language is Russian, and regions can additionally establish their own languages. Regarding the appointment of Russians as the heads of national republics, it does provoke discontent. It's worth noting that what matters here is not so much the national question, but rather the question of belonging to the region. Typically, people who have never lived in these lands are appointed as regional leaders. For instance, Vladimir Putin appointed Diktarov as the acting governor of the Khabarovsk Krai, temporarily after the arrest of Sergei Furgal. And in 2021, Diktarov assumed the position of the governor of the Khabarovsk Krai. Previously, he had not lived or worked in Khabarovsk. His appointment sparked significant protest in the region and became a subject of public discussion. It's also interesting that many ethnic groups in Russia could declare in the charters of their republics or regions that these are their national lands. However, the most populous ethnic group in Russia, the Russians, don't have designated national regions. Another problem in Russia is that it's an asymmetrical federation, meaning that different regions have unequal rights and opportunities within Russia. Federalism should imply equality among all its parts, but such situation leaves its imprint on the governance process as a whole. Some regions enjoy greater rights and opportunities due to their pressure on the federal government. As we can see, power in the regions is significantly limited and under the control of the federal government, which affect the autonomy of the regions or republics. A notable example is the differences in the status and powers of the republics and territories in Russia. Some republics, such as Tatarstan and Dagestan, have broader powers, including the rights to establish their own laws and official languages, granting them greater autonomy. Meanwhile, territories and regions have more limited powers and rely on federal authorities to make important decisions. Indeed, not all countries with an official status of federation fully correspond to this status. The United States and Switzerland, which I mentioned earlier, are positive examples of federations. The United States has a federal system where power is distributed between the central government and the states. The states have a significant degree of autonomy, with their own constitutions and laws, and they have the authority to make certain decisions independently. However, the degree of autonomy and power distribution within the federal government and the states may vary in different aspects, creating some variability in the application of the federal structure. On the other hand, some countries such as India or Brazil are actually centralized states rather than true federations. India also has the status of a federation, but its power structure is not fully federal. India has a federal system where power is distributed between the central government and the states. However, the central government in India holds extensive powers, while the regions have limited rights and authorities. Federalism in India can be weakened in certain aspects, leading to centralization of power. Summing up, we can say that Russia is not a full-fledged federation due to problems such as power centralization, limited rights of regions, characteristics of a unitary state, and restrictions on candidate nominations. These factors hinder the full autonomy and independence of regional authorities, contradicting the fundamental principles of a federation. That's it for now, thank you for watching, don't forget to like and comment this video.